This is a good video.
Did you know that Google accidentally caused an invasion? Or that they're developing a computer so powerful it can program itself? Well, it's true, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. So welcome to my top 50 things to know about them. Also, massive shout out to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. Google has its main headquarters in California, spread across a massive campus it calls the Googleplex. But what happens there might surprise you. For starters, Google makes it a mission to keep stress as low as possible. They've installed high-tech energy pods, which use NASA science to help people achieve brief but effective naps during the day. And probably my favorite thing, slides, right out of a playground to get from upper floors to lower floors. It's a weird touch, for sure, but I could see how it gives people little moments of stress relief. And it's not just about stress. Google's campus is partly built like a playground to stimulate creativity. One example of this in action is, you know that Dino Run game that pops up on Google when you have no internet? Well, that was in part inspired by the massive T-Rex dinosaur statue they have there. Funny story, as well as the whole creativity element, that statue was bought to remind the workers at Google to make sure that Google doesn't go extinct, like the dinosaurs did. They even refute convention when it comes to naming their employees. If you're a mature Google worker, you're a Googler. If you're a new intake, you're a Noogler. If you've left the company, you're like an X, therefore a Xoogler. And if you've got a pet, it's a Doogler. But I gotta say, the perks are definitely worth the eccentricity. Googlers get gourmet dishes from around the world cooked for them. They don't pay for it, and the founders made it clear that no employee should be more than 200 feet from a cafeteria. If this wasn't enough of a perk, when a Google employee dies, their partner gets half of their wage for the next 10 years. So, this out-of-the-box thinking is definitely one of the factors I think has contributed to Google becoming a success story. They're incredibly young. Google is actually less old than even Netflix, and yet they've got one of the highest revenues of all time. They make around $200,000 of revenue per minute. Not quite as much as Apple's $300,000, but not a figure to be looked down on by any stretch. It's crazy to think then, with everything they've built, that Google only exists because of an incredibly lucky encounter. The two founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they only met because Larry was considering applying to Apple make so much money? And Sergey I don't understand at that grad school and was assigned to show him around on the day. In the early days, Google was actually called Backrub. There was a reason. Back then, when people would search, your website was ranked just based on how many backlinks it had.
Guys, okay. What I mean is that Apple technically has a lot of alternatives to it. There are a crazy amount of things that they could buy that are not Apple instead of Apple and do literally almost the same thing. This is a good video on the internet historian's second channel. Google literally holds our world together. Believe it or not, dude. Literally, Apple holds our daily life stitched together. Have you seen that ninja got his own
or in other words, how many other sites had links that came back to your site? If there were lots of other sites linking to your site, Google considered it an important site and therefore ranked it higher. They spent a year with this name before seeing the bigger picture they could create with this technology, after which Backrub became Google, named after the very real word Google. A Google is the name given to a massive number, 1 followed by 100 zeros. It just signifies the idea that Google intended to become this almost limitless bank of information. But it wasn't always high-tech offices. I said Apple. The entirety of Google was first stored.
I mean Google keeps the world together, dude, not Apple.
10 4GB hard drives, arranged in, wait for it, a Lego casing. The Lego actually made it easy for them to attach more storage later. Compare that, then, to the 20 petabytes of information that Google processes per day now. It's a world apart, even though it's only been 20 years. To try and conceptualize just how much information 1 petabyte carries, imagine a 4-drawer filing cabinet. You know the big ones, the ones that are kind of just as tall as a person. Pack that full of paper, full to the brim, with each page packed with information. Then combine 1,000 of these filing cabinets together to create one super filing cabinet. And then get 20,000 of those. That's just 1 petabyte. Okay, what about Google's smartphone operating system, Android? Why is a mobile phone OS named after a robot? Well, Andy Rubin, who is one of the founders, was given the nickname Android at his previous job, just because of how much he loved robotics. Also interesting is the logo. The person who designed it, she actually got her inspiration from a bathroom sign. The word Android usually refers to a male robot, so she took the men's bathroom image, adjusted it to fit the brief, and used a green color to signify growth, because I guess plants are green green and plants grow. This one's unexpected. You might know that Microsoft's Windows mobile software kind of failed to gain traction, but that doesn't mean they've completely failed in the smartphone space. They actually make a ton of money from Android, between $5 and $15 per smartphone sold. They own patents that Android supposedly infringes on, but instead of just taking them to court, both parties are better off if Microsoft just tells Android to pay them royalties for it. And speaking of patents, Google loves them, and I've got a few favorites. Google has patented an electronic tattoo, but with a tiny working printed circuit board, made to power an internal microphone that can be placed inside your body to make communication with your smart devices clearer. They've also patented a smart walking stick with embedded cameras and a GPS system, created to capture Google Maps street views in remote locations. The idea was to hand these out to employees to go walking with, and when they do that, every time their stick would touch the ground, the camera on top would take a photo, and the GPS module would associate that with specific
That's pretty
coordinates. They have even tried to patent the hand heart gesture, and it has got nothing to do with showing someone your feelings about them. When they were investing heavily in their Google Glass project, glasses that could see the world with augmented reality, they wanted a hand gesture that people could make in front of their glasses to tell the glasses to take a photo of whatever you were seeing. Also related to this, you probably know, Google makes a lot of their money from advertising, and the best way to maximize this revenue is to make sure that the ads you're sending are well matched to the consumers seeing those ads. If you, as a viewer, like an ad you see, it's a win-win situation. You're discovering a new product you'll find useful, and the company selling it potentially gets a new sale. So, in order to best match these ads with the customers, Google wants to know as much information about you as possible, and they've made it clear that they've wanted to go further. They actually applied for a patent to equip smartphones with sensors that could detect environmental conditions like light and temperature to further personalized ads based on this. So for example, they could know if you're sitting in the baking hot sun, and then they could send you a personalized advert for a local ice cream van. They also patented a gaze tracking system, where whilst showing adverts, Google can see if people are actually looking at them. They can see where your pupils are facing, and even the dilation of them, which would signal how much of an emotional response the advert evoked. And this leads me on to the slightly creepy side of Google, starting with our reliance on it. On the 16th of August 2013, Google went down for 5 minutes, and in that time, global internet traffic went down by 40%. That is crazy. Or another...
that's why I said, motherfuckers. That's why I said that it holds our world together, dude. Google is more than just ads, yo. It does so much, man.
The American country of Nicaragua accidentally invaded Costa Rica because of a Google Maps error. Maps said that Nicaragua owned a piece of land that was actually part of Costa Rica. So without realizing it was just a mistake on Google's end, the Nicaraguans, they actually went to Costa Rica and started planting their flags down. A few years ago, Google acquired a company called DeepMind, who is working on something they call the Neural Turing Machine, a computer built in a similar way to the human brain, combining human pattern recognition with the sheer ability of a computer to just crunch numbers. It can program itself. It's not all creepy though. Google is a company that likes to have a lot of fun, and one of the ways they do this is through Easter eggs. Their products and services are littered with them. If you search Google in 1998, it'll show you how the site looked back in the day. It makes you very glad we've moved on since then. If you search for Thanos and click the Infinity Gauntlet on the right hand side, you'll notice your search results fading away one by one until only 50% of them remain. Clicking again restores them. This will make a lot more sense if you've seen the Marvel films. Or, alternatively, in Google Images, if you search for Atari Breakout, it'll actually allow you to play the game in your browser. This one's really unusual, but Google owns the domain name googlesucks.com. And, not exactly an Easter egg, but you also might not have known that Google ignores the dots in Gmail addresses. If I sent an email to either of these two addresses, it would arrive at the same place. What about Google Maps then? Well, on one hand, over the years it's become a more and more impressive tool. You can now use it to virtually visit everything from the base camp of Mount Everest
Apple Maps
to the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia. But it is also one of Google's favorite applications to mess around with. For example, if you ask for directions in certain parts of Scotland, it used to list the Loch Ness Monster as a travel option. Now, I've talked a lot about Google's quirky, jokey approach to a lot of things. This sometimes works really well for them, but it also sometimes backfires. On April 1st, 2004, Google announced Gmail, which was kind of crazy. It offered people a free gigabyte of online storage.
That's crazy.
Compared to the 2 megabytes that Hotmail did at the time. But the problem was, because they'd been running April Fool's pranks on this exact day every year, people thought Gmail was a joke. Another example, probably worse, was on April 1st, 2007. Google sent an email out to employees that a python had escaped and was loose in the facility. They were not joking. And there have been other fails. You might remember something called Project Tango. Around 2014, Google sensed the dawn of augmented reality, and they tried to build a system for phones to use it. The problem was that it was almost too ahead of its time. It required manufacturers to equip their phones with way too many sensors for a benefit that at the time barely extended beyond a novelty. The project was canned and later converted to what a lot of Android phones use now, something called ARCore. There was also Google Helpouts, which I honestly think had potential. It was a little bit like Fiverr, if you've ever heard of that. People who need help with something, they'd log on and they could talk to an expert who would try and solve their problem and pay them for their time. So if I fancied myself as a bit of a Wi-Fi expert, I could sign up as an expert and people could pay me to fix their Wi-Fi problems. One thing that Google does do really well though, is they're consistently trying to minimize their environmental impact. As of now, Google runs on 100% renewable energy. Every bit of energy that's used in their offices and their data centers, that comes from renewable sources. They also, instead of using traditional machinery, rent 200 goats to mow the lawns of their Googleplex headquarters. They encourage workers to ride bikes around the campus, and it's one of the few places in the world where none of these bikes are actually locked to anything. You just pick up the nearest one you find, ride it to the building you want to go to, and leave it there for the next person. I'm not completely sure so if you want, they apparently lose up to 250 bikes per week because of their liberal approach. Now, just before my favorite Google nuggets, what about their logo? Well, it's changed a fair bit since launch. Their first iteration, in my honest opinion, is pretty highness looking, but they quickly swapped it out for a more modern approach. I do like the concept of having mostly primary colors, red, green, and blue, with the addition of yellow to show that Google doesn't just follow the rules, it changes them. You also might not have realized that for some time now, the E in the Google logo has been slightly rotated, again, just to show that they like to be unconventional. Oh yeah, and the company's motto, literally until a few years ago, was just "don't be evil," which they then swapped out to probably a safer move, "do the right thing." And finally, my top 5 miscellaneous Google facts. When they were just starting, the two co-founders, they rented a garage from a woman to work in. Pretty standard beginning for a big tech firm. We've heard it all before. But, as it turned out, this woman was Susan Wojcicki, who would actually end up becoming the CEO of YouTube. Google helps to fund Calico, a biotech company built to try and fight death itself. You might already know that Google is owned by a company called Alphabet. The funny thing about them though is that when they found out that alphabet.com was already taken, they decided to go for a URL of abc.xyz. That's awesome. One of the company's lifelong missions from very early on was to scan every book in existence, turning fading paper into an everlasting online record of everything ever written. It's quite a nice idea, but they ran into a bit of a problem trying to do it. To start with, it was running well. Literally truck after truck of books would arrive at Google's head offices, they would scan them and then return them to libraries. But about 25 million books in, authors and publishers started turning around and being like, "What are you doing?" Whilst Google thought their scanning was harmless and considered fair use for the purposes of education, the writers thought otherwise. Google's records, they were never destroyed, just banned. So somewhere in the vaults of Google are 25 million books that no one is allowed to read. And finally, I find this one pretty funny. There was a point when Google offered to sell their company to Yahoo for just $1 million. Yahoo said no, and now Google is worth about 300,000 times that much. Surfshark VPN is pretty crazy value. Take a listen to this.
Nah, dude, I get fucking DDoS by fucking 12-year-old kids while playing GTA and buying a fucking stupid fucking product.
You pay
but we're young the video, so we'll watch the ad.
That gives you unlimited simultaneous connections. You probably already know that VPNs can keep your browsing secure, especially in public places, and also help to get around internet censorship in certain regions like China. But Surfshark does a lot more than that. As well as being able to connect to single locations, it allows you to multi-hop or include ads. Link in the description, and you can use the code BOSS to get an 83% discount and an extra month for free. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will catch you in...
I'll make sure to do that. PogChamp. Okay, chat. That was long intro, but that was pretty good. I enjoyed that video. That was actually really good. PogChamp.